Don't waste another 6 months. And you need to listen very carefully because you wasted the first few months of this year. You know you fucked around. You know you fucked about. You know you wasted most of your time scrolling, doom scrolling, looking at Twitter, looking at all these different things. For the last 5 months, will you do something about your life? What habits will you change? What mindset would you adopt? How would you look? What would you wear? How will you operate in the last few months? Genuinely ask yourself this question because most of you are slaves to an algorithm. And yes, I'm going to piss off the slave minds. Of course, I'm going to piss off all the slaves who love to scroll. Of course, I'm going to piss them off. Piss off the nerds. Who cares? But for those of you who are seriously about changing their life, this isn't even just about money. This is not about none of that. Money is nothing. I can take 100, 200,000 and blow it. This shit is nothing. Money is nothing. I'm Preme. I'm P. So when people keep talking about money, oh, is that your biggest goal in life is money? Most of you can't even control your own selves. That's why you go work these slave jobs and come home and you sit distracted in front of the TV screen. You can't even control your mind. So it'd be a lot of people coming to me talking about this, talking about that, money, money, money. And I just sit and think, bro, you are a dork. You didn't even deserve money in the first place. You need to be lucky God even gave you money because you are a dork. Your neck can be snapped in an instant. You need to train. You need to be training. You need to do something. You need to learn how to fight because most of these dudes, all their main focus is money, right? Your main focus is money. Your main focus in life is money. Where you're going to lose. My main focus in life is me bettering myself, becoming the best version of myself every single day. And just over time, of course, I have to have money. How can I not? See, these people main focus in life, this is what they aim their last years, and this is why all of their time is wasted. This whole year has went by. Their main focus is women, and their main focus is money. I went outside of those, and that's why they come to me anyways. I went outside of money. I went outside of money. I went outside of women. And that's why it's attracted to me. Why do you think I'm so lucky and special? Because you need to talk to yourself this way. And I made a program specifically so you could think like me. You need to think like me because lately you've been thinking like a dork. You've been thinking like the world. The world wants you to think a certain way and they want you to be programmed so that you can waste another 4 to 5 months. You cannot do that. So you need to understand that something has to happen quick now. All it takes is a mind shift. Is why I keep talking about the mind. Most of the people are just complete slaves to impulses. And let me get back into what I was talking about money. Most of your problems you think can be solved with money. If I gave you $1 million out of my big, large, infinite bank account, I have an infinite bank account where I spend the money just doesn't even leave. The numbers don't even change. I look at my bank account, I just spend 100,000. The numbers don't even change. Money is nothing. So we need to stop. We need to stop putting money as so much as importance because most of you can't even control your own mind to get to money. You can't like. That's why I say I look at these rich nerds and rich dorks. Yes, you have money, but you can't even control your own mind. You can't even stop me from coming up to you and beating you down. What? So what is your money even worth? What is your money even worth? Most people try to leave with their wallet. Okay, that's okay. Yeah, perhaps you could take her on dates and do this and that, but your last few months of this year, you need to be focused on becoming strong, becoming mentally stronger, becoming physically better. You need to work in areas outside of money and finances because the areas outside of money and finances will operate inside of money and finances. But it seems like nobody understands that. Because people keep walking around. I don't care how much money you got. If I can kick your ass and I can take your money and you look like a skinny nerd, you don't train, what's the point? What is your money even worth anymore? What is it worth? Let's move me on to the women aspect. The reason I'm talking about these because these are the fundamental two aspects of men's nature of what they want. Oh, they want a woman, they want a nice women, want to look good for women, and they want to look good and have some money. Of course. Okay. But most of you, you need to ask yourself, go to the mirror, take your shirt off. Are you the man that that woman even want? Some of you haven't even became the best version of yourself. Some of you haven't even became P. Some of you haven't even became how transform myself out in the multiverse, out in the different planets, out in the atmosphere. I sat there. I went inside the transparent world and I seen the highest version of myself and I grabbed him out the atmosphere until I became him. I squeezed the universe of all its juices and forced the universe to give me what I want. This is how I operate. I forced the universe to give me a strong mind. Someone came to me a long time ago and said, you know what? You used to always say that you were going to be different. You used to always say you was going to make a bunch of money. You used to always say you was going to be stronger than everybody else. You used to always say that, Preme. And I was like, you're right. It was like, you made it. I said, thank you. It's funny how God and the universe works when you actually just show up and you dedicate yourself to a task. See, I don't want my message to be screwed up with just talking about money. Money is nothing. Money is worthless. Money is everywhere. So if you still don't have money, you lack money, something is wrong. Money is absolutely everywhere. If you haven't figured out how to make money, we're past that. My message has evolved from money to now the things money can't buy. Money can't buy my happiness. Money can't buy my strong mind. Money can't buy my network, my brotherhood. Money can't buy the respect women give me. People come to me and say, Preem, all of these women right here respect you and want to have sex with you. You don't want none of them? I said, no, I don't want any of them. I don't. And it's the truth. I don't want anything to do with them. I don't. I'd rather do my work, do my purpose, sit here and absorb all the energy. And you know what's funny? Most men dream is to have women who wants to respect him and have sex with him. And I just sit down, just flick the, I flick the gold. Nothing. I don't want them. Most men dream to ignore women, to even have these women texting and calling and trying to meet up with them in person. It's most men dream for this, and I just flick it. And they hate me for that. I just get all their energy and I absorb it all, and I say, keep working on yourself. Now, the point I'm trying to make, now that all the peasants is gone, now I done clicked off, I made the nerds click off. I made everybody who couldn't get this message click off. So good. Now we can get to the real truth bombs. Okay. For the last 4 months, for the last 5 months, you need to absolutely work on your mind because your mind is your greatest asset. And in fact, my mind is my greatest asset. This is the greatest achievement I've ever achieved. And this is the greatest thing ever given to humankind. I don't care how many rockets we put in space. It was Elon Musk's mind who made him do that. It was his mind. So your greatest asset is your mind. That's the greatest thing you can work on. Once you start to think differently, you start to think differently, you start to do certain things, you start to do different things. And when you do different things, new actions is and new things attracted to you. See, we talk about law of attraction, but think of law of attraction as action. You need to take action. You cannot no longer just sit and think. You cannot just no longer believe. You need to believe and you need to do the necessary action to attract and gravitate towards you. So you need to think of every action you undertake for the rest of the 5 months. This is the framework, the mental framework I'm going to instill into you right now. One of the main actions, I was telling someone this as well. I was having a conversation. I was telling them, I said, one of the main things that you need to do is work on your mind. For the remainder 5 months of this year, you need to sit and you need to genuinely work on your mind. You need to think differently. Because if you don't, you'll do the same thing next year. Think about all the different things you've done this year to waste time. If you do not change your mind, you'll do those same things next year and you'll be back in the same specific spot next year. Unless you do what I'm telling you. Because once you shift your mind, your habits change. Once your habits change, you start to change your environment around you. So you need to think of action as a building block to the chemical reaction to success, which compounds over time once you start to apply the methods I'm telling you. Use your mind correctly. Most of you have been using your mind as a slave. You've been falling into your own mind's trap, but this trap come from the enemy, but it seems like most of you can't even get free. Why? You need to question yourself. So once you question yourself and sit down and say, where does these beliefs come from? Where did these thoughts come from that I have? Who told me this? Why do I have these beliefs? Why do I have these self-limiting beliefs? Perhaps it's the spiritual matrix. See, it's two different matrices. We have the physical matrix, with 9 to 5 slaves and how the economy runs and people who's running the world keep us trapped and all of these different things. Then we have the spiritual matrix, which the limiting beliefs which have been instilled in us in school, since birth and all childhood, all these different things. So first you need to escape the limiting matrix, and then second, you need to escape the physical matrix. But first, most of you haven't even got here. Most of you haven't even got to the spiritual matrix. You keep trying to go to the physical matrix and escape the 9 to 5 and make a bunch of money and get geographically free. That comes second. You need to reprogram your mind first. So the first thing that I could tell you is, for the rest of the remainder of this year, do things outside of your work which will make you more competent, more powerful in your work. The way that I can speak like this and have so much conviction when I speak, and people tell me that I'm a fantastic speaker. I have many people come to me all the time. I remember I was speaking at an event. I was speaking in a room full of event, and by the time I was done speaking, that was all appalled. It was like, oh wow, wow. And then it was time for the next speaker to speak, and they was like, I can't say it as good as Preme, but I I can exactly. So everything that I do outside of work strengthens my work. This is what I'm trying to tell you. Focus on things which cannot be took. Money can be took. Women can be took from you. All these things can be took for the rest of this year. Focus on things which cannot be took from you. Knowledge, wisdom, purpose, everything non-physical. So for the last remainder of this year, focus on your beliefs. Focus on everything non-physical, which will enable you to propel yourself in the physical world and use your spiritual power to its extent. Now, I don't sell spiritual power. I want to make that sense. I want to make that very, very clear. I don't sell spiritual power. You already have the power. I'm just a guide. I'm just teaching you the framework of how I think. That's it. So when I say click the link in the description, when people ask me, why do you say click the link in the description? Well, I tell them because it teaches you how to think in a framework which will enable you to be as powerful as possible. Most of you have yet to think about yourself as powerful. Why would you allow your own mind to betray you? And this is the only existence, the only mind frame you have. Do you understand? Why would you allow your mind to betray you? This is the questions you need to ask yourself. And that's why I made the program specifically for you. And I have the free Telegram as well. You could join that. Join the free Telegram. And then I want you to move towards the program. Because the free Telegram will also help alter your mind in a certain way where you can wake up, if you dedicate yourself, if you read the messages, I tell you exactly the methods of how to free your mind every single day. Money, finances, women, all of these things have a mental framework of which you can operate through the work, through the earth as powerful as possible. And if you can understand what I'm saying, I guarantee you, life will change. Because the only thing real is your mind. The subjective reality that we live in is one of the only things real. It's the most important thing. So I talk so much about the mind. Everybody else will lie to you. Everybody else will tell you that the mind is important, but the mind carries your actions. The actions you undertake determines the actions you undertake was first determined by your mind. So you can only take action which was given to you by your mind. You think about food, you go and get food. So the point I'm making is once your mind shift for the rest of this year, your actions will switch. Your actions will shift for the rest of human time. Once your mind shift, you know where to find me. You know where to find us. In fact, we're in the Nebuchadnezzar. We're in the free Telegram, t.me/Preme Operations. It's the Nebuchadnezzar where I'm gathering everybody off grid to free your mind out from the matrix, the spiritual matrix. You know where to go.